Good evening, Florida, and welcome to Coastal Conservative News, where truth has a backbone and freedom still has a home. I'm Michelle Posey.
And I'm Allie Leger, and we're bringing you the bold stories, the real headlines, and the voices that matter most, right here from the heart of the free state of Florida.
Absolutely. From Tallahassee to the Suncoast, we're tracking the political shifts, community victories, and constitutional battles shaping the future of our state and our nation.
So buckle up. It's time to get informed, get fired up, and get involved. This is CCN, Coastal Conservative News.
Okay, guys, let's kick things off with Katie and your week in review.
Thank you, Allie and Michelle. I'm Katie with CCN's Week in Review. Lingering in the Florida waters, a flesh-eating bacteria, the most recent death reported on August 7th in Bay County, is the second fatality in that county this year. Before that, as of July 11th, health officials had already confirmed 4 other deaths, one each in Bay, Broward, Hillsborough, and St. Johns counties. In total, there have been 16 confirmed infections statewide in 2025, up from 11 just last month. Vibrio, a natural occurring bacterium that thrives in warm, brackish coastal waters, Florida's summer heat provides the perfect breeding ground. The infection can cause a serious illness called vibriosis, and in severe cases, necrotizing fasciitis, a fast-moving destruction of skin and soft tissue. The bacteria can enter the body through even the smallest open wound in seawater, or by eating raw or undercooked shellfish, especially oysters. Those most at risk include people with weakened immune systems, chronic liver or kidney disease, diabetes, or older age. Health experts urge the public to avoid swimming with open cuts, cook all shellfish thoroughly, and seek immediate medical attention if sudden pain, redness, swelling, fever, vomiting, or diarrhea occur after water exposure or eating seafood. Officials warn Florida's warm waters are still safe to enjoy, but a little caution could save your life. An urgent search is underway in Florida for 18-year-old Giovanni Pater, who vanished under troubling circumstances nearly a week ago. Giovanni, who had just graduated from high school, was visiting family in Inglewood, Florida, when he disappeared just after sending a chilling text to his mother, "Mom, help." This happened around 1:30 a.m. on August 1st, shortly after he was picked up by 3 cousins he had never met in person. Around 1:56 a.m., Giovanni tried to call and FaceTime his mother. He had also tried to reach out to other relatives for help. When his mother woke several hours later, she found her phone filled with missed calls and messages. But by then, Giovanni was already gone. Authorities say he was last seen riding north on Interstate 75 before suddenly exiting near State Road 70 in Manatee County. His belongings, including his phone and backpack, were later found abandoned at the roadside in Bradenton, something his mother says is completely out of character. Family members allege Giovanni felt threatened after an argument and fled, while authorities have suggested he may have walked away on his own following an erratic behavior. The search has now entered its 8th day as of today. With efforts spanning Charlotte and Brevard counties, Giovanni's family is offering a $25,000 reward for credible information leading to his return. They are urging anyone with tips who may seen the white Chevy Malibu he was last traveling in to contact the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office immediately. Back to school is looking a little different this year because cell phones are out of the classroom and out of sight. A new Florida law went into effect on July 1st that bans cell phone use for all elementary and middle school students in Florida during the entire school day. We are even seeing local high schools adopting this law. The move aims to cut distractions, reduce social media use, and bring the focus back to learning. The Department of Education will review the data by the end of 2026 to decide whether to expand this policy. Florida first restricted phone use during class in 2023, but this year marks the biggest step yet, putting the Sunshine State among a growing number of states cracking down on cell phone use in schools. New data shows kindergarten vaccine rates in Sarasota have dropped significantly, and many parents are seeing this as a positive shift. Rather than blindly following one-size-fits-all mandates, more families are taking time to research, ask questions, and make medical decisions based on their own children's unique needs. For these parents, the decline in vaccination rates isn't about neglect. It's about exercising their constitutional right to choose what's best for their kids without government pressure. Interestingly, the silence on the issue extends beyond individual doctors. According to the Herald Tribune's latest article, Sarasota Memorial refused to state outright that the measles, mumps, and rubella MMR vaccine is safe and effective. The Sarasota County Health Department also declined interview request, and in a written response offered no direct endorsement of childhood vaccination, even as measles cases rise nationwide. To many parents, this speaks volumes. If the local medical establishment won't make an unqualified declaration, why should parents be shamed for asking hard questions? Sarasota numbers reflect a growing movement across Florida and the nation. Informed families rejecting the notion that bureaucrats know better than parents when it comes to children's health. Many families have even moved to Florida to escape their own state's tyrannical vaccine mandates, calling the Sunshine State a safe haven for medical freedom, with exemptions protected by law. Parents say Florida is proving once again why it's the best state in the nation for protecting parental rights. Stay free, stay informed, and stay with CCN. See you next week.
Hi. Hello, how are you?
We are here to get an IV.
An IV. I heard you have an IV room?
Yeah, absolutely. You just head right back this way.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Knock, knock. Hello. Hi, I'm Michelle.
I'm Sarah.
Sarah, this
Hi,
is Al.
Allie. Nice
Hi,
to see you.
How can I help you?
We're stressed. We're
Yeah.
moms. We've got multitasking going on. I feel like I fall victim to like a brain fog a little bit. I don't know if that's my age or whatnot.
You need a little bit of clarity, a little bit of energy.
Yep.
Is there of an IV that you would recommend for that? Thank you.
We call this the brainstorm.
The brainstorm.
The brainstorm.
Come visit We the People Health and Wellness Center.
Where medical freedom exists. Welcome back to CCN. Thank you, Katie, for that report. Now, here's Raj Doraiswamy with our Suncoast Community segment.
Welcome, and on today's episode, we are talking to Bill Mitchell on what are we talking about with Bill Mitchell and why are we talking to Bill Mitchell? Well, my friends, we have this thing in America called the Constitution. And sometimes, often in certain cases, our officials are not adhering to the Constitution. And because many of us haven't read the Constitution ourselves, the people we elect either haven't read them sometimes or don't honor them sometimes and achieve their own objectives, their own agenda. Maybe it's for their own purposes or for special interest groups that are influencing them or big money that's influencing them. At the end of the day, we, my friends, have to know what the Constitution does, how it is worded, and how our government is supposed to be run. And make no mistake, the United States of America was designed to run properly by virtue of the citizens, not the elected officials, not the politicians, but primarily the citizens knowing what needs to be done, the principles that need to be honored. Our country was never, ever designed to survive when the citizens are ignorant. And there are many, many reasons for us talking about the validity and relevance and importance of us holding our officials true to the Constitution. But I want to bring our guest, Bill Mitchell, on because not only is he going to be talking about many issues that you are probably running into in your county that this Constitution issue is part of, but he's also going to show you how you can hold people accountable and measures to do that. And they've already been successful in doing that. So without further delay, let me go ahead and bring Bill on. And so great to have you with us, Bill. Thanks for being with me today. And let me go ahead and there we go. How are you doing, Bill?
Good, Raj. How you doing?
Doing great. So good to talk with you. For those people that don't know you and don't know the CSPOA, could you give just a brief introduction and then we go right into the meat of our conversation?
Sure. Well, I'm the Florida director of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, and I've been working down here in Florida for the past 2 years to support the constitutional county concept that the CSPOA has been talking about for quite some time. I first got involved with Sheriff Mack back during 2020, who's the founder of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. That's when we were trying to put forward a resolution back then to protect citizens' constitutional rights during the COVID crisis, because we were quite aware that they were being stepped all over at that time. And Sheriff Mack was quite instrumental and very helpful in being able to help us put that resolution through and to gain public support. So that's why we're doing that here in Florida now, because we still haven't seen redress of the grievances we had on a nationwide basis to make sure that we are going to have our rights protected. So that's sort of a brief introduction to what we're doing.
And this organization that you guys are part of, you guys have several conferences throughout. In fact, you just had one today, had one in Florida. So there's really an opportunity for my friends, for you that are watching this, to go to this website, cspoa.org, become a member, donate to them. This is very, very important. But Bill, let's kind of get into what you and I talked about a while back. And in that conversation, we really talk about how people right here in Florida, people like the people watching this program, how those folks really have a role to play and tools available to help reinforce the aspect of our Constitution, how it's honored at the county level even. Talk a little bit about that, maybe give an example or two of where this is not happening and how that's a slippery slope that we need to get involved with right now.
Sure. To really do a good job with it, I'd have to go back in history a little bit, back to Sheriff Mack's original case back in 1997. That was basically an issue of states' rights where the federal government was trying to impose on state sheriffs the responsibility to enforce what was questionably an unconstitutional legislation and mandate that they were trying to push onto the sheriffs. And Sheriff Mack and several other sheriffs stood up to that and actually won in 97. But they won on the 10th Amendment, not the Second Amendment. And so a lot of people realized at that time that, our Second Amendment rights are not really protected. So they looked at what the various counties and cities had done in making themselves sanctuaries for illegal aliens. And they said, well, by God, if they can have resolutions protecting illegal aliens in our country, then we should be able to have a resolution that protects our constitutional rights, especially our Second Amendment. So in sort of a tongue-in-cheek fashion, they ended up 60% of all of the states, counties, and cities of the United States in one form or another passed some sort of Second Amendment legislation trying to protect our Second Amendment rights. Well, what ended up happening in the fairly as time moved forward, they sort of tested these cases and they found out that a resolution wasn't actually enforceable. They found out that it was more of like an intention saying, golly gee, we really want to do this, but it didn't actually have any teeth. This became especially apparent during COVID when we saw that we really didn't go far enough with the resolutions because we no longer had just the Second Amendment being attacked. We had the First, the Fifth, the Ninth, the 10th and the 14th Amendment all being attacked during the COVID crisis. So at that point, a lot of people went back to the resolution drawing board and they tried to say, okay, let's draft some resolutions that are protecting our rights during COVID. Well, the problem was, again, the same as before, is that resolutions are more like an intention rather than actually having some sort of civil or criminal penalty attached to it. Because the biggest issue we found during COVID was that we didn't have local jurisdiction over constitutional issues. It tended to be a federal issue. And so we had no means of enforcement. Sheriffs could ignore unconstitutional mandates and various things like that, but they didn't have a way to enforce the Constitution. One county stands out, though, in all of the different counties, and that's Collier County. Collier County, Florida, Chris Hall passed a ordinance that actually gave teeth to the Constitution and that made it enforceable at a local level, having both criminal and civil penalties. And you might say, well, what does that really mean? Well, that means that if during COVID, let's say you had a business and you had the federal health department coming in trying to shut down your business, saying that we're, going to do this in the name of our emergency, proclamation or mandate, then you basically would say, excuse me, no, that's not happening. I'm calling the sheriff. The sheriff could come down and say, listen, you got one of two choices. You can either continue what you're doing, in which case I'll put you in jail for a year and fine you $20,000, or you could go tell your supervisor that he needs to come down here and do this. So that was giving teeth to the Constitution at a local level, because you didn't have to go through a judge, you didn't have to get a warrant, you didn't have to do anything other than have that ordinance already in place, establishing what are the things that constitute a violation of it, and then the sheriff can actually go out and enforce it. So that's what makes this crucial. And interestingly enough, the only county in the entire United States to do that was Collier County. So we're launching both a state as well as hopefully a nationwide effort to make people aware of that and to get as many counties as we possibly can together to start that at a grassroots level, because that's exactly what happened with the Second Amendment resolutions. And if even just the counties that, and cities and states that signed on to the Second Amendment resolutions signed on to this, it would be a huge step forward in protecting our constitutional rights and reestablishing our constitutional republic.
So in doing everything you just described, there's a role that people can play, particularly with their county officials. There's an aspect, I think, even
Absolutely.
for county commissioners. County commissioners, talk a little bit about how people can take some of the information that we're showing them and how they can apply that to conversations and objectives with regard to the county commissioners. Because if done right, then individuals in working in a professional and informed and assertive way with their county commissioners can actually change the way things are being done at their county, which then provides a pathway to how things can be improved at the state, right?
Absolutely. Essentially what we're looking at is there's a whole process that we've developed over the last 5 years through trial and error, to where we've actually identified the roles of various individuals in making this actually happen. And so the first step is to establish a base of people that are sort of we the people that are saying, you know what, we need to first establish that our constitutional rights have been violated and they haven't been redressed by anything at our local level, because our local county commissioners have all taken an oath to protect our constitutional rights against enemies, both foreign and domestic. So we start with finding a base of people to essentially say, we would like to have these issues redressed because we don't ever want to see a repeat of the COVID crisis overreach of the federal and state governments in trying to shut down economies and people's businesses. There's huge things that took place there. So once you've established that base, we also talk about not showing up as an adversarial, but as a helpful group. So the idea is that when you go to the county commissioners, most county commissioners are not constitutional scholars. In fact, I would say that I could probably count on one hand the numbers that I met that really understood the Constitution well. Most of them are businessmen that are doing things from a business standpoint, and they rely on the sheriff and the county attorney to try and keep them out of trouble on constitutional issues. So what we usually do at that point is we go and talk to whoever we think it would be the best uh, commissioner who would be most open to the idea of what we're trying to do, have us be introduced by someone who knows them, so that we end up coming in as a friend and somebody that's sort of a friend of the commission. And then we basically talk to them about, hey, how did you guys do during COVID? What kind of business impact did you have? Did you lose a lot of revenue? Did a lot of businesses close? What kind of things impacted your county the most? Because they're not so much interested in the constitutional issues, although they should be. They're more interested in revenue and various things that have happened on a county level. And so when you start talking in those terms, they start perking up their ears. And if you said, how would you like to have a tool that would keep you from having to shut down in the future if something like this happens? Are you interested? And they're going to say, absolutely. And then if you say, well, we have a number of citizens that are also have expressed on our petition for redress of grievances that they also would like to see this happen. And we suggest that we follow the model that the Collier County, Florida, has already put forward and is successfully using to do just that. At that point, you probably have a listening with at least one county commissioner that you've begun with, and then you sort of systematically go through each one and do the same thing until you get the number that you need for the critical mass, in a sense. So if you've got like 5 county commissioners, you want 3 of them on board, and then you have them bring it to a vote. And then you also contact your base and you make sure that they're emailing, phoning, writing letters, and that they show up to the meeting as a show of support for what's going on. Now, Alex Newman for years has been advocating just exactly the thing that we're doing. And he wrote an article about the Collier County's bold initiative to establish a Bill of Rights, constitutional county, essentially. And they are truly stand out as an example. On my website, when I list on my YouTube channel and some of my links, I have the Alex Newman's article there, as well as I've got Chris Hall, who's the commissioner that brought forward that, talking about that, as well as the actual constitutional attorney who drew it up. So there's a lot of information out that can help you to understand more deeply the legalities and things like that. In fact, if people email and say, Bill, send me as much information as you can, I can forward them the sheet that I've sent you, Raj, that gives them all the links and all the information.
Spectacular.
So anyway, and getting back to your original thing about what the individual people, what should they be looking to do? We need boots on the ground. The first step in doing any of this is to finding somebody who wants to be the director of that county and direct the effort, because that's the key linchpin to the whole thing. Because I don't know about you, but I'm just one person and I'm covering the entire state of Florida. And so if I don't have people working with me, if I don't have directors in each of the counties in Florida, I can't work in those counties because there's no base to go forward with. And so the first thing is we've got to do is establish that individual. I usually say, hey, listen, do you have 2 friends that you can have help you? And do they have 2 friends? Because now you've got a team of people that are actually going to be able to do this. And that is what makes it possible to work on that level. Now, there is a shortcut. I know you just put up the picture of Eric Flowers proclaiming the Indian River County as a constitutional county. And this gave us, when this happened, we did our Foundation for Freedom conference. That was just after we had met with Eric Flowers. We were down in Palm Beach County doing a presentation down there. Sheriff Mack and I were. And Eric gave us a call and said, hey, would you like to meet with us tomorrow morning and talk about this constitutional county thing? Because I think I'm really interested in doing that. We're already a Second Amendment sanctuary county, and I think that we should definitely extend that to the entire Bill of Rights. So we went down and talked to him. He said, I think I can get this done by Constitution Day. And we kind of smiled because the shortest time we've ever seen it done is about 18 months. And so we said, well, great, go ahead and do that. Well, he, as the sheriff bringing it to the county commission, got it done by Constitution Day. That gave us a huge insight into the fact that if the sheriff is backing what we're doing, it expedites the whole process tremendously. And so that's what we've begun doing. And we hope here in the probably next 2 to 3 months to have Lake County, whose sheriff is very supportive of what we're doing. There, we're hoping that Lake County will become the second county to become a county that has an ordinance protecting the constitutional rights of their citizens.
Fantastic, Jill, and congratulations.
Now you're showing the Eric as he's Sheriff Flowers as he's giving the talk about the proclamation that they put forward down in Indian River County. And by the way, in Florida, we have 5 counties that have already passed some sort of legislation saying that they're a constitutional county, and others that have drafted things that are similar but not quite addressing the constitutional issues. But the counties are, the first one was Flagler County, and they did theirs in 2021. I know that Collier County attempted to do one in 2021, but it took them to 2023 to actually get theirs passed. We have Manatee and Sarasota counties, and then the newest county, obviously, is the Indian River County that did that in 2024.
Remarkable work, a lot of resources. People can actually get connected to your meeting. You guys have a meeting there. If people come to that meeting, what are some of the things they could expect?
Organizational meeting where we are talking about what's going on currently in the movement and what we're trying to accomplish in various counties. We talk about, we also do problem solving. We say, okay, if you're trying to get a group together, or if you already have a group together, what are the strategies that we use? Because we have a whole process that we use to analyze whether a county is on a fast track to get something done, or whether it's going to be a really long-term project to where we're going to have to use some extraordinary means of trying to be able to get headway in that county. Palm Beach County is one of the latter rather than the former, like Indian River was. So at that meeting, again, like I say, that it's a educational, it's a problem solving, and it's an opportunity to share the momentum that we have in what we're doing. We basically have gotten the word out in about 30 counties here in Florida, but we have active groups that are working in maybe 10 of those counties that are actually moving towards actually the passage of the ordinance.
So my friends, as you can hear from Bill, there's a lot of information here. What's needed, however, is you are needed. They need people to be a liaison, a facilitator at every county. I met some of Bill's team. These are great folks that are capable, informed, and care about our nation following the Constitution. Have to. And that doesn't happen by us just sitting in our couches and tweeting or making a comment on X. It literally happens by you putting yourself in the driver's seat, saying, I will do something. I would like to bring this body of work into my county. So Bill, thank you for the work you've done. Thank you for all of the resources that you have available. If you all want to get a copy of some of these documents that I've been sharing on the screen here, an easy way to do this is actually to go to reclaimcampaign.com, and on reclaimcampaign.com, if you scroll down, there's a section that says Reclaim Our Constitution. Click that button there, and you can get the information that we have been sharing here, the action plan, and all of that data. You can see Bill Mitchell's email address here as well. I'm going to bring up the website because I want you to be able to go and donate to this organization, be part of it, take an active role in what they're doing. Bill, thank you so much for talking with me. I really appreciate your time. Look forward to having you with us again on another call. And I really appreciate you not only just doing this work, but actually making it available. You're traveling all over the state to connect with people. Make sure you contact Bill. His email address is right here. And take advantage of all of this infrastructure and bring this into an actionable role in your county. Bill, thanks for your time today.
Wow, thank you, Raj, for that report. Next up, guys, is our Political Pulse with Allie and I. It's our Political Pulse segment right here on CCN.
Welcome back to Coastal Conservative News. I'm Allie Leger, and this is Political Pulse, where we cut through the noise and deliver the heartbeat of the Free State.
That's right, and I'm Michelle Posey. Tonight, Florida's watchdog is off the leash, targeting waste and abuse in our biggest counties. Plus, redistricting battles heat up. We were talking about this in Texas, happening here in Florida as well. And a bold new law aims to protect our most vulnerable from predators.
That's right. It's accountability, it's action, and it's happening right now. Let's start in Hillsborough and Pinellas.
Florida's very own Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, is sharpening its teeth, launching an on-site review and audit in Hillsborough and Pinellas counties to root out waste, theft, fraud, and abuse.
In letters sent to both counties, DOGE said it plainly, quote, "The citizens of Florida have the right to expect that their elected officials will spend the collected funds responsibly and on truly necessary programs," end quote. That's not politics, that's stewardship.
I love this. And it's not just Tampa Bay on their radar, guys. Miami-Dade County also received a letter requesting documents on projects including speed bumps, Green New Deal initiatives, and of course, DEI programs that we're not supposed to have anymore here in the free state of Florida.
Exactly. And Mayor Daniela Levine Cava fired back, calling the audits, quote unquote, politically driven and a duplication of efforts. But here's the truth. Removing waste, theft, fraud, and abuse isn't political. Wasting taxpayer money is.
That's right. You know, it's pretty funny. If government would work the way it was supposed to, then that would be not necessary. But as we're finding, government is not made to audit itself. It's pretty funny. Guys, Florida CFO Blaise Ingoglia nailed it, saying it's a shame Miami-Dade voters don't have a mayor who truly cares about them. And you guys, he's right. Accountability is a public service, not a partisan attack.
And it doesn't stop there. At a recent press conference, Ingoglia revealed some government employees may be actively impeding DOGE's work by altering or removing keywords from data systems to hide questionable spending.
Wow.
The next thing I want to talk about is something which is probably a little bit more serious. It has come to my attention, and I've been getting information that there are some governments, cities and or counties, not at liberty to say right now, are having some meetings and with the sole purpose of scrubbing the information from public record as we start looking for some of the things that are outlined in our DOGE letters. So specifically getting rid of certain keywords digitally, so this way when you do the searches, it becomes much, much harder to find, okay? I'm going to tell you right now that we will not tolerate any cover-up of any egregious spending or things that are not supposed to be spending according to Florida law. I will tell you that we are going to continue to investigate this, and this is a warning to any local government that tries to hide the spending, try to get scrub the information from government servers, that we will subpoena you, and we will make sure that we get the information. In addition, if we have enough information, we are going to send in the digital forensics team from FDLE and find out who is scrubbing the information, and then we may refer that over for criminal investigation. So this is serious. When we say that we want to make sure that we're rooting out the waste, fraud, and abuse, that is for the benefit of the taxpayer. We will not tolerate any covering up of any information in order to fulfill our mission.
Ingoglia's position is clear, guys. You can't hide the truth from Florida's taxpayers.
Exactly. And from holding counties accountable for redrawing our political map, Florida's cleaning house at every single level.
Florida House Speaker Daniel Perez has announced the formation of a congressional redistricting committee gearing up to review the map Governor Ron DeSantis will have ready before the midterms, Allie.
So excited about this. Florida is now officially joining Texas and soon many other states nationwide in redistricting showdown aimed at securing fair constitutional representation, which is 1,000% needed.
Well, California would lose like 5 seats if they did a fair census. And even beyond that, the Biden census gypped Florida of at least 1 seat. We only got 1 seat in the last census. Are you trying to tell me that Florida only had 1 seat in that? We should have had at least 2. Texas should have had another one. That could be the difference in the House of Representatives and the majority. So I would love for them to redo the census for 26. My legislature will redistrict those lines. We'll get it to where it's fair. But as it's right now, this country is not fairly apportioned. I've got so many more millions of people in Florida that have representation because of that flawed census.
Mr. President, I think it's going to do very well. A lot of people, I don't know if you've heard about it, it's captivated the country. Everybody wants it.
Yes, and this is coming on the heels of Trump saying that he's going to rework the census to only include those that are here legally. What a mind-blowing thing to say, right? I love this. I love this. This is about more than lines, guys, on a map. It's about protecting the voice of every Floridian and preventing gerrymandering that favors the left.
And keeping illegals from receiving representation that they did not earn. And with DeSantis at the helm, expect a map that respects both the Constitution and the will of the people.
That's right, Allie. In other legislative news, guys, Attorney General James Uthmeier is championing a new bill with one clear mission: protecting children from predators who try to exploit adoption, foster care, or surrogacy to gain access to them. This is huge, Allie.
It's called the Protecting Kids from Predators Pursuing Parenthood Act. This law would close dangerous loopholes and keep predators from using the system to get near to children.
This is Attorney General James Uthmeier. By now you know my goal is to make Florida the safest state to raise a family. As a father of 3 little ones, my wife Jean and I know that there is no greater blessing from God than to have children. There's also no greater responsibility than to bring up good citizens. I know there are many couples out there that are unable to have kids, and many are turning to technology and various resources in the hopes of aiding their quest for parenthood, surrogacy being one of these options. That said, in Florida, we have a responsibility as leaders to protect families. And we've seen situations lately where surrogacy has exposed kids to dangerous harm. In Pennsylvania, we recently saw a homosexual couple, including a registered sex offender, celebrate bringing home a newborn. In other states, we've seen situations where parents have obtained children through surrogacy or adoption only to then subject them to repeated sexual abuse. This cannot and will not happen in Florida. That's why today I'm proposing the Protecting Kids from Predators Pursuing Parenthood Act. I hope to work with the legislature to ensure that registered sex offenders, people that have preyed upon kids, are in no way eligible to obtain children through surrogacy, adoption, or foster care. And this will apply to people that abuse animals as well. If you abuse animals, you have no purpose becoming a new parent. We cannot endanger our kids. So I look forward to working with the legislature over the next year to further protect our kids and keep our state safe, strong, and free.
Wow, it's a simple principle, really. If you prey on kids, you shouldn't be anywhere near them. Not in their homes, not in their schools, and certainly not in their families.
And this comes on the heels of 2 gay parents, I guess, that adopted through surrogacy a child, and one of them was a registered sex offender. So
unbelievable.
I'm glad that Florida is leading the way in this. So this is Florida putting children first and predators last, and putting them in prison where they belong.
Hey, maybe
hopefully
even Alcatraz.
We do have 2 facilities now underway. So
absolutely. Guys, and earlier this week, we attended, Allie and I, a press conference featuring Senator Ashley Moody, Representative Laura Lee, and Education Secretary Linda McMahon.
The focus was on education reform, accountability, and economic opportunity, ensuring Florida remains a national leader in both learning and liberty.
Guys, Florida is leading from the front. Have a quick listen.
Hi guys, Michelle Posey and Ali Leger here in Tampa at the Brooks DeBartolo Collegiate High School, where we just attended the press conference with Senator Ashley Moody. They had the Director of the Department of Education, Linda McMahon, here, as well as
Congresswoman Laura Lee. Guys, it was a packed house. They talked about the One Big Beautiful Bill
that implemented a lot of what Florida has already been doing for about 9 years. We are leading the way in education, and especially in educational options for students, right? That don't want to go necessarily the traditional route.
It's not one size fits all, right?
Right. They also highlighted special tax credits for special needs, tutoring, which is really important, and different scholarships for
options that are privately funded. So the interesting thing about this is there were questions from the press about, you know, what is this going to do to public schools? What is this going to do for the funding of public schools? And Senator Ashley Moody doubled down. She said, this is private funding. This is not part of the taxpayer dollars that go towards public school funding. So this is exciting. It's not, education is not one size fits all. We're leading the way here in the state of Florida, but it's exciting to see the Trump administration really taking to heart parents and their involvement in choice for education for their children.
What I loved most was when Director of the Board of Education, Linda McMahon, when she said that she is looking at Florida to be the blueprint for other states to implement these tax credits and these tax scholarships and education options in a way that we've been leading for so many years. So it's just really incredible to see that Florida is early leading the way to help.
Absolutely. And Senator Moody said, you know, this is a process. It's going to be unveiled over the year, over the next year. So there is a process that your voice can be heard.
Absolutely.
So it's important that you reach out to Senator Moody's office to figure out how you can get involved in that process. They need our voices. Absolutely. They need our voices to know what works, what doesn't, and what we need to have them do.
And they doubled down and said that this is your government. This is your government. Because there was a question in the audience was, how are we going to let the citizens know about these programs? How are we going to let our teachers know and our students know and our community members know that this stuff is available for them? And Ashley Moody said, I literally just had this same concern this morning. And she's like, I'm on it, but this is your government. You have to be involved. And that is something that we say all the time. So it's so awesome to hear a sitting representative and a sitting senator kind of double down on the same things that we are saying. It is our government. We the people. We lead the way.
That's right, guys. Make sure you keep it tuned here to Coastal Conservative News. With Allie and I, we'll sign off for now. Talk to you later.
Push more families will now be in the driver's seat when it comes to choosing the education that works best for their children. So the One Big Beautiful Bill included not only did it include the largest tax cut for working class families across this nation, it's going to do a lot for Florida families in helping them provide for the best education for their children. So as a mom, I'm right there with everybody right now, spurring around, trying to figure out how to gather all the necessary school supplies and put my kid in the best position to excel, and that is no different for any family. And so what I love about this is it's not just going to allow for tax credit scholarships for tuition, it also helps for special needs expenses and transportation and technology and tutoring, all those expenses that every family should be able to afford to put their kids on the best foot forward to succeeding in life, becoming productive citizens. And of course, that's what all of our schools and certainly all of our parents across this nation want. So specifically, this is an important expansion of school choice. We know that Florida is a leader. We are the only state that allows for universal school choice, the only one, the first in the nation. Now, there are 37 states that allow for some kind of school choice. And this will help supplement what's already being done in those states, and certainly it will allow for those other states that haven't yet to get on board and start pushing forward, because we've shown in Florida that this model works. We scored like #1 in education for 9 years in a row. We're top 10 for K through 12. It works. And so if we can deliver this for other kids, it certainly will brighten their futures and make sure that their educational choices aren't dependent on their zip codes. And we know that's worked here in Florida. It can work across the nation. So this is not just about private schools. This is scholarships can be used by all families. Tutoring, books, supplies, uniforms, education-related dances, curriculum for homeschooling.
The One Big Beautiful Bill also expands 549 plans, special family savings accounts for education, to include books, materials, testing fees, dual enrollment fees, educational therapies, and tutoring costs. School choice is the future, not just here in Florida, but nationwide. It's not just the future. is the now, and you voted on top of it. It introduces competition in the public school system and improves performance. Study after study shows the positive impact of school choice of public school academic achievement. Florida leads by putting parents back in control and increasing educational freedom. Freedom to innovate, to let teachers teach. It's been one of my biggest issues that teachers really are end up in their classroom because they spend a little time complying with regulations than they are having the innovation to be able to teach. Red tape is just really pent up in their teachers. And I saw a stat not too long ago. It said that 47 cents of every dollar in the classroom, teachers are spending complying with regulation. Oh, that's a shame. Let's get that money to the yes. Let's get that money with classrooms. Freedom to innovate, to let teachers teach, and to let students explore. This is what motivates our mission to work with Congress and reduce bureaucracy at the federal level. Other states should look to Florida as an example as we prepare to get educational power back to the states. The states working together to rise to the occasion and become innovators of reactive students, we can ensure that every American has the opportunity to achieve educational excellence. So that's our mission, to return education back to the states, to provide best practices on touring all over the country. I've been to about 10 to 12 states now. I'm visiting all kinds of different schools, micro schools, charter schools, full public schools, homeschooling, to develop toolkits for those states that aren't being as innovative and creative as Florida is, so that governors, school superintendents, and can you look at that and say, I think this would work for me. How can we make our education better? So that is my goal. I know it will be a part of my legacy as we do work to shut down the bureaucracy of education in Washington.
I thank all of you for your commitment to education of our young people and for having us here today to shine a light on this excellent educational institution for our community's children. Every child deserves an opportunity to be educated in an environment where they're understood, challenged, and believed in. That is what school choice is all about. And thanks to the Educational Choice for Children Act, now part of the One Big Beautiful Bill, families across America will have access to the tools that make that possible. This legislation creates a federal tax credit for donations to scholarship granting organizations, allowing private support to fund tutoring, tuition, transportation, and special needs services for the children who need them most. This empowers parents, it respects every learner, and it brings opportunities to families. This is not a partisan idea, it is a promise that every child should have the opportunity to thrive. Thank you again to Secretary McMahon, to Senator Moody, to Hira Varma for being here with us today to tell her story, and to all of you who are so committed to what it means to truly put families first. Thank you.
From rooting out waste in our counties to redrawing our future, from protecting our children to strengthening our schools, this is what it looks like when a state is governed with a backbone.
Yes, and in Florida, accountability isn't optional. It's expected.
And that's all for us this week on Political Pulse. They've censored the truth, manipulated the narrative, and told you to sit down and shut up.
But not here. Not on our mic.
Open Mic with Ali and Michelle is the podcast where free speech lives, patriotism thrives, and the truth doesn't whisper, it roars.
That's right. We break down the stories the media buries, the policies that threaten your freedom, and the culture chaos Gen Z is waking up to literally every day.
From whistleblower exposés and global conflicts to the spiritual war on masculinity, we don't just talk about it, we say what they won't.
That's right. If you're tired of soft takes, scripted spin, and really plastic politics, it's time to tune in and turn up.
Because this mic is always open.
And now we will go to Kevin with this week's Faith in Focus.
Hello, this is Kevin from Faith in Focus. I wanted to share with you my experience last weekend with an Indonesian Christian community here in Sarasota, Florida. Twice a month on Thursdays and Saturdays, they transform this charming local cafe and sometimes their own homes into a sacred space filled with faith, fellowship, and joy. Join us as we explore their inspiring gatherings, rich in traditions, and the powerful bonds that unite them. In the heart of Sarasota, Florida, a small cafe buzzes with warmth and connection. Today, it's not just about food and drinks, it's about community, faith, and growth. Welcome to Growing Together, an Indonesian church gathering that's bringing people closer through shared stories, culture, and spirituality. Tucked away in a cozy cafe on a sunny Sarasota afternoon, members of the Indonesian community gather to celebrate their faith and heritage. The aroma of Indonesian food mingles with the sound of heartfelt conversations. This is more than just a church service. It's a family reunion, a cultural bridge, and a moment to grow together in faith. From traditional Indonesian songs to shared prayers, this gathering is a vibrant blend of worship and community. Let's meet the founders who brought this vision to life.
I'm Michael Rowe.
Name Fiona.
How was Growing Together founded, and did it start in Florida?
Ya, kita mulai di Florida karena kita community Indonesia selalu ingin ketemu dan ada satu community yang namanya arisan. Saya pikir apa salahnya kalau kita berkumpul, lalu kita dapat memuliakan nama Tuhan, kita bisa worship, kita bisa belajar firman Tuhan, supaya kita walaupun jauh dari negara kita sendiri, tapi kita tetap bersatu dan tetap memuliakan nama Tuhan.
What's the core mission and vision of Growing Together?
Ya, karena kita ingin supaya kita sama-sama bisa bertumbuh, bisa mengenal Tuhan lebih baik dan lebih dekat kepada Tuhan, walaupun kita ada di negara lain, tapi kita tetap mau mempunyai iman kepada Tuhan.
And I got a little addendum is that in the beginning all I did was support. That since it was in Indonesian, it was just for ladies. I didn't have much to do. Gradually, I start to support the men. Mostly the ladies are all the Indonesians and the husbands are all English speakers. I began to take the men aside and we do a small Bible study and fellowship with each other so that I would have something to do. And eventually now I do a little speaking, a little Bible study to help strengthen people's faith.
What challenges has your Christian community faced in Florida, if any, and how were they addressed?
For the challenges?
Well, partially is logistics. This is spread all over the whole state. And we decided that we're going to drive. So actually, we kind of like have cell groups in Naples. People that can't drive up here very often. But we would, even if we have to drive that far, we would make up the distance and try to include more people even if it didn't require a lot of distance.
How does Indonesian heritage shape your worship gatherings and outreach?
Saya rasa nggak terlalu bermasalah ya, karena kita sama-sama satu bahasa, satu selera, satu gimana sih, semuanya dari Indonesia. Kita juga kangen makanan Indonesia, kita juga kangen ngobrol satu sama yang lain, dan kita mudah. Saya rasa nggak masalah untuk menjalankannya.
One thing I can add is that the culture is so different than America. We're raised with a very little persecution, and they're raised in a Muslim environment where the dangers of sharing your faith are greater. And we have some disagreements about how far we should push it, because in that environment, you can end up having your house burned down. Her church was actually burned down in Jakarta, so there are a lot more risks involved. Her method of going outreach is not as bold as mine. We have some friction about, especially criticizing other religions. She don't want to talk about it, but I do. That's one of our differences.
Can immigrants from other countries join Growing Together?
Oh, of course, welcome. We're very happy we get together. We can worship God, then you can try the Indonesia food.
And if they can't speak Indonesian, they get stuck with me.
Last question. What are Growing Together's future plans, and what message do you have for those unfamiliar with the community?
Kita sih nggak punya terlalu jauh ya, belum pernah memikirkan terlalu jauh, tapi kita ya untuk sekarang saya hanya rindu supaya kita orang-orang Indonesia juga bisa bertumbuh walaupun hidup di lain negara, dan kita bisa makin hari itu bisa menjadi garam dunia gitu loh, memancarkan supaya nama Tuhan dipermuliakan. Itu aja.
That we are not looking to start a church building. We want to keep it as a house church, maybe multiple house churches, but house church style, where everybody has a personal contact, personal relationship, and ability to contribute.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. As the gathering unfolds, the cafe transforms into a sanctuary. Voices rise in harmony, singing traditional Indonesian hymns while prayers are shared in both Indonesian and English, reflecting the group's commitment to connection. From heartfelt testimonies to moments of quiet reflection, Growing Together is a space where everyone is welcome and every story matters. As the sun shines brightly over Sarasota, the Growing Together gathering leaves a lasting impression. In this small cafe, a community has found a home, a place to worship, to connect, and to grow. As I leave this cafe, turned an occasional place of worship, I'm struck by the warmth, unity, and deep faith of the Indonesian Christian community. A reminder that sacred spaces are created wherever hearts gather in devotion and love.
Thank you, Kevin, so much for keeping our faith front and center, as always.
For Coastal Conservative News, I'm Michelle Posey.
And I'm Allie Leger.
We'll see you guys next week at 7 p.m.
God bless you, and God bless the great state of Florida.